This is a pretty cool Jasper. I'd say it might be Picasso Jasper or Picture Jasper. This pattern will work for any stone that's drilled straight through top to bottom. And it's a really easy pattern, but I've put a lot of variations on it because I do it so much. And no matter how many times I do it, it's still fun. And it just gets easier and easier. And I just get a little better at tweaking the curves and stuff. So take about 2.5 feet of 20 gauge. You just need one piece of 20 gauge. That's it. And really, you could do the simpler version of this with less than 2 feet, but I never know what I'm going to do with the next one, how I'm going to change it. So I always add a little bit extra wire. Bring the stone to the middle of the wire, bend and bend, opposite ways. And it's a bad lighting here. I'll do my best to try to brighten it up sometimes, but then the camera goes out of focus. And anyway, so let's do this. You make a loop. You can use a pen if you want to get a perfect circle if you're worried, but just let the loop roll around like that, and you can kind of control it and just kind of roll it in, and you'll get like a nice little half upside down teardrop look like that. Now that one's a little flat on that side, so you can go in with your round nose pliers and try to tweak it, or even with your flat nose sometimes if you know exactly where to bend it to try to get it just right. But in general, you want it to be just about the size that makes you comfortable for the top of the stone. Maybe a little bigger, because then we're gonna hold this like this, and we're gonna twist it 180, and that makes it shrink about 10% when you twist it. And then you fold this top wire down, fold the bottom wire up. And this is how I start every single one. About somewhere in the bottom corner, I cross the two wires. And where those two wires officially cross, the middle of the cross, I start to continue to have them spin around each other in the same direction, and that forms a very simple and effective spiral. And you can make this spiral anytime you have two wires cross, and it looks really good. It's fun. You can put it anywhere on a stone. There's no limit. You could put a bunch of them on one stone if you just keep having your wires come back together and cross again. But the fun part is you can make it really tight, or you can make it loose and have space in between to see the stone. However you want to do it, you can go around as many times as you want. You can make it super fat or just one little tiny one. So I went around about 2.5 times there. And then the fun part is you can have the wires come together and have them do a little dance, or you can have them separate, or you can have them be kind of close. You can just play around with that. So in this one, I'm gonna have them separate here. This wire is gonna go around back, like so. This wire is gonna do a little dance and then go up to the top and wrap around the top loop. So we'll have them go like this, bend this way. We'll have them bend this way. Get some nice curves in there, like he's going to kind of snake his way up to the top. And what kind of curves do you put? You just put whatever kind of curves make you feel good, or you don't have to put any curves, like whatever. And now I'm just going to put a little loop right here because that's just fun too. Just little swirls and curves and loops. It just feels like a growing vine, and it just kind of mimics some of the patterns in the stone, and it just looks, it's just fun. So I'm going to come around like this. And now I'm going to wrap around again around the top loop, because that's how I can anchor everything. It's by one stop anchor right at that top loop. Now I want both of these wires to come around the back and do maybe one more little pass, one more little design, because most of the face of the stone is now covered with a pretty design. And I'll also sit there and tweak these curves. Like sometimes, like maybe that one's smaller, that one's bigger. Maybe I want to even them out. Just a little tiny little pull, or grab in different places, and you want to be careful not to slip, because you will scratch the wire. I almost slipped right there. So you want to go gentle and careful with it. But you can move it with your fingernail, you can move it with your fingers, you can take the pliers and your fingers, you just play with it. It's like molding, like shaping clay. So now these two are going to go around back, and I like to have the wires cross as much as possible, because it starts to make a matrix that grabs onto the stone in every possible way, and that keeps wires from being snaggable. And the more you have wires tied down to the stone that are not snaggable, the more strong your whole piece is, and the more your design will stay put, even if somebody is like rough with it when they're wearing it as a necklace. So we're going to cross these, and I found just pick the middle of the stone and just twist like that, and give it 2 twists, because 2 twists tend to lock it in better than one, like that. Okay, now nothing's moving, everything's locked in, especially when we come back around. So where are we going to come back around with this? Well, this side is pretty much filled up. So I want to do something a little bit along this side, and then we'll call it a day, because we don't want to make it too busy. So let's bend both of these down to this side, and it's still stronger that we got that twist in the back. and we'll have them come up on either side of the corner like this. And we're going to have them curve together and start to do something together. I don't know what yet, because I literally have never done this exact pattern. I make it different every time. But I feel like just that alone would end it. See that right there? That would be cool just like that. But I'm going to curve it a little bit more. And I think I'm going to come around like that and end it. And that'll be it. You know what? I want to make it a little more interesting, just show you guys possibilities. So I'm actually going to add one more loop, pressing tight against the stone as I come around. And I kind of want this loop to be in between. This is the top, this is the bottom. I want this one to be a little bit lower. So I'm going to try to roll it a little bit. If I could keep that light on, but every time I change the focus, the light goes off. It's my goofy camera. But see how I'm rolling that really tight? And then I also, the wire's grabbing the camera stand too. I also want to hold everything tight, all my fingers holding everything tight from every position. And I want it to kind of curve out and then curve back in like this. And then I want it to come around the back of the stone like that. I mean, the back of the loop. And that, I think, is good. That makes me happy. Make sure the loop is straight, and we're going to scarf it, which is what I call when you finish it off. The easiest way I found to finish it off is take the wire and just start wrapping it around the top loop as if it's a face and stack the wraps, and we call it a scarf. And then we, once we get high enough with the stacks, we cut it halfway across the top loop. So we have like two little tabs left, and they're little sharp ends, and we want to tuck them away. And you can make sure you cut them just right. Sometimes I'll cut them a couple times to make sure I get it just right. And then you take these tabs, bend them towards that bowl you made with the scarf, bend them towards the middle, and then tuck them deep into the scarf, straight down. Just pinch it straight down with the pliers, and boom, they're gone. They disappeared. Now, there's a couple things I don't want to change. This is kind of lifting off the stone, and I don't know why. I don't like that. So I'm going to see if I can pull it back by giving this back a crimp. So now we just go around and tighten everything up in the end. So I'm going to crimp that, see if that pulls. No, it's pretty much like that. That's pretty much locked in place. So that's not terrible. I'm probably the only one who even notices. But no, I think I did get it a little bit lower just now with that one movement. You also, sometimes the loop will move around. You want to keep it centered. You want to keep it the size you want. And then you go back and you test everything and you say, is any of this going to snag? Is any of this, that's moving a little bit more than I'd like. So what can I do to change that? I'll go around back. I'll crimp this a little bit. This whole side, if that got rubbed too hard, it's pretty solid, but if it got rubbed too hard and pulled, the whole thing could come off and that would mess up half of this design. So in the future, I would have checked that and making sure I had another wire coming across to grab it from this side. You want to try to get your wires coming from all directions anchored, especially on the back where it doesn't matter how good it looks. It's the front, you want the prettiness. Now I want these loops to be a little more diagonal, so I'm just gonna play around with them a little bit more, pinch that a little bit more, pinch that a little bit more. I want this loop to be a little bit of a sharp corner there. I want that to be smoother. So I have to pull these back out and then see if I can kind of smooth that, and that's tricky. And I don't want to scratch the wire. I have to go real slow, millimeter by millimeter. But I think I did it. I think I got that a little more smooth. And now again, once again, I want to pinch these guys a little bit more. And you might not be able to tell the difference, but that little bit of tweaking means a lot to me. Like, I can tell a big difference. And because I'm a stickler for every little curve, and there's a difference between being a stickler and a perfectionist. A perfectionist is always stressing that they can't get it right. A stickler is someone who knows they could do it 80% and leave it and be happy. But because they've done it so many times, they also know they can get it just right, and they enjoy that process. The difference is enjoying. When you enjoy making it a little better and a little better, then it's fun. But when you're stressing over, I'm not getting it, then you're just being a perfectionist. And what you need to do, if you're stuck in that, is just make 10 pieces over and over and over, no matter how bad they are. Just finish them and make a new one. Finish them, make a new one. Don't rip them up. Don't take the wire off. Finish a piece, put it down. Even if you think you messed it up, finish it. Put it down. Hide it in a box, make a new one. Hide that one in a box, make a new one. Leave them. Leave all 10 of them in the box. Come back 5 days later and look at them again. I guarantee you will like them twice as much as you thought. Because, well, you're judging yourself when you're making it. Oh, this has to be right. This has to be this. This has to be that. But when you make a whole bunch of them and then you go back and you see them, later, then you can appreciate them like, wow, I did that. I actually like that curve. That's pretty cool. And even as I'm talking, I still want to make this even more diagonal. It's a little too horizontal. I want to make it a little more vertical. There we go. I'm even happier now. I want to turn this, even that, I want to turn that loop a tiny bit, pinch it a tiny bit. There we go. I'm even happier. But this piece is done, and you guys go and do some of your own patterns and have some fun.